Hi there everyone, it is currently the 10th of October 2011, and as we look across the western Pacific today, several areas of convection to note here, starting with an area of convection in the East China Sea, extending down towards the remnants of the invest we've been watching the last couple days as that moved across the Philippines. But the main thing to note here is a newly formation of Tropical Depression 23W out here, or Ramon, actually named by Pagasa, moving off towards the west-northwest right now at about 12 to 13 knots, so moving at a moderate pace. Winds currently about 25, gusting up to 35 knots with a central pressure of 1006 HPA. That's based on the Dvorak system out here. And if we're just looking at the visible imagery right in here, you do see some good inflow coming in from the south, also from the northern periphery here. A fairly small storm, kind of a midget storm as we would call it out here. It is expected to continue to track off towards the west though and make landfall here around northeast Mindanao, probably around the Leyte Gulf region before crossing Visayas on Wednesday and then leaving the region on Thursday morning, likely the morning of the 14th. And while it does that, going to be bringing some rain showers across the region. But good news, going to be staying south of the twin typhoon affected regions up here towards the north. Looks like this mass amount of moisture, as indicated here on the water vapor imagery, will remain located here across Visayas, likely around Samar, where actually earlier this season they did see a lot of rain showers due to a few of the typhoons that we saw earlier this season. Well, looks like you're going to get another big hit here as this one tracks across towards the northwest, running across the entire archipelago. But if we look at ASCAT imagery, now these are the winds taken by the directions of the waves out here and basically the overall heights of the waves, and kind of reflected up to the satellite, you do see a clear circulation right in here just towards the west of Palau. Well, that's indicating that the surface winds in this region are basically in that counterclockwise pattern, and thus the formation of this tropical depression out here. Looking at those max winds right about 30 to 35 knots actually per this ASCAT imagery along the western periphery, so that's where those strongest winds are right now, and would not be surprised if in the next 6 to 12 hours this upgrades to a tropical storm just based on those winds alone, and also due to the fact this is sitting in some very good warm sea surface temperatures out here, about 30 to 32 degrees across the region, plus wind shear is right around 5 to 10 knots, and that is going to allow for continued development of this tropical depression. Now, as I noted, it is expected to track off towards the west-northwest, basically following this trough of low pressure out here. It's going to stay south of the high pressure up here towards the north. That's what this gradient up here is indicating. It's off of the Westpac high. Well, it's going to want to track along the southern periphery of that and move across Visayas here, likely moving south of Manila, but don't discount the fact that some of these outer rain bands could affect the Manila metro area, thus causing some localized urban flooding across that region. And then after that, it is expected to re-emerge in the South China Sea here and then regain tropical storm intensity before moving off towards the northwest. Still a very long range here past that point, but likely it will continue to follow this trough off towards the north, making another landfall around Henan, maybe possibly around southeastern China. But as I said, it's very long range and it likely won't be till next week. But looking at the model consensus with the actual surface analysis, does look like that's in agreement with it. But overall, though, it looks like it's going to be tracking across Visayas here and then start to turn off towards the north, heading up towards this region up in here. Looks like most of the warnings officially from the agencies actually keep it a little bit south of this model consensus, basically due to that area of high pressure off towards the north that should keep it buffeted down towards the south before heading off towards the South China Sea. So definitely something to keep a close eye on, since the model guidance do show that shift a little bit to the north here. But if we look at the warnings out here, and actually here Pagasa on the left and then JTWC on the right, Pagasa keeps it basically right along the southern periphery here of that ridge up towards the north, running across Visayas and going through the Leyte Gulf region before heading off towards the South China Sea. Well, JTWC curves it off a little bit towards the northwest here, and then eventually likely they're going to head it off towards the north, but right now looks like in the long range could have to head up towards southeastern China, likely beyond the 15th and then into the 16th and 17th. But for right now, looks like it's going to be making landfall as a tropical storm per both agencies. They're expecting this here, then run across the archipelago, bring in an abundant amount of rain showers. And as I already noted, this entire region already saturated out here, specifically along southern Luzon, right in this region here. And any rain showers that come out of this system definitely will be a big flood potential. Also, the threat of landslides and mudslides with them. But that is all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for listening here at WesternPacificWeather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them in the comment box below if you're watching us at YouTube or at the website, Western Pacific Weather. You can also post there. So thanks again, everybody. Stay safe out there. And as always, please continue to check your official agencies, Pagasa and JMA out here, for those official warnings on this tropical systems. And definitely, if you're being advised to evacuate, always take the safer route and do so. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.